Hey everyone, it's Jeremy Shinewald here, founder and president of mbaMission, with another one of our essay analysis pieces, our video essay analysis pieces. Here we are with UVA Darden. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you enjoy the crazy wallpaper behind me. One thing you'll notice about the Darden essays, short blasts, 100 words, 50 words, 200 words, 200 words, 150. Not a lot of room to do a bunch of abstract development like, let's say, Harvard would, where there's one open-ended prompt. This is basically the exact opposite. Think very carefully before you start writing about how you can keep the reader engaged in learning more about you with each prompt. You don't want to have anything that's repetitive, right? You don't want to have the same themes in 2 or 3 of these little blasts. So think about how you can maybe offer something personal in the first and offer something intellectual in the second. When they talk about the world, the first is about your personal or professional contributions to the learning team. The second one is about where you would go with Darden and why. Then they ask you about your leadership style and how it's evolved. You know, a meaningful impact you've had in your professional or community environment. So, you know, really think about, hey, how can I think about this all as a cohesive whole and engage the reader on an ongoing basis. Let's jump into these one by one. Tell us about what you want your learning team to know about you, personal, professional, or both. Probably hard to do both. I'm not saying it's impossible, but probably hard to do both in 100 words. Why? How long is 100 words? Well, it's about as long as this verbose and uninteresting paragraph. For some, it might be 8 sentences. For others, it might be 7 or even 9 or 10. This is just a funny way of illustrating how little room you'll have to answer this question. Well, we're already at 62 words. Now we're at 67. We don't have much more room to make our impression. Did I say it might only be 8 sentences? This is my 8th, so the end is coming soon. Well, it's over at 9. This paragraph is 100 words long, and you can see how little room you have to operate, but you can still create a narrative. You can still tell a brief story about your personal or professional experiences, and as you tell that story, think carefully about what it's saying to your learning team, because they're saying, what would you want your learning team to know about you? Think about if it's hopefully implying a positive quality that will allow you to contribute to that team. Each year, Darden connects with over 80 countries. If you could choose any location in the world, where would you want to go with Darden and why? So this is only 4 or 5 sentences. And it's not about the place itself. The place could be an interesting part of your answer, but it's more about the why you'd want to go to that place. So you don't necessarily have to pick something obscure and say, I want to go to New Caledonia because it's really obscure and you wouldn't have thought about it. You might say that you have a niche interest in mining, and New Caledonia is an area where mining is actually taking off in an innovative way, and you think that this would be an interesting place for people to learn about energy development around the world. That might be a good answer, but New Caledonia on its own, period, just because it's obscure, doesn't work. So you want to try to integrate the two, where you want to go and why you want to go there, and hopefully, yes, create that narrative that explains the two together and how it would be helpful to go there with your Darden class, all in 50 words, right? All in 4 or 5 sentences. You can do it. It's challenging, but you can do it. Darden strives to identify and cultivate leaders who follow their purpose. At this stage, how would you describe your evolving leadership style? Please provide an example. So they're helping us here by saying, provide an example, right? Example means narrative. They want you to walk them through how you do it, share a process, show them how you have evolved. So evolve would suggest that something's changed, that there's been growth and change, that there's a before and after. So let's say hypothetically you offer a brief example in the first paragraph of how you have been a rousing, inspiring Churchillian leader. And then in the second paragraph, you talk about how your style has evolved and you've actually learned how to lead through quiet example as well. That would be a great 200 words, assuming there are examples to back it up. Remember your environment, your audience here. Darden is collaborative. It's a real community. Think about what you're saying is your leadership style. If you're saying, my leadership style has grown from independent to even more independent, and I am doing things on my own at all times, obviously not the best kind of message to send to a collaborative community. So again, context, think about who you're speaking to. Please provide an example of a situation in which you've made a meaningful impact, not just impact. Most impact is meaningful, but it isn't always meaningful. So add context for meaningful. They want the example again. You've got to build everything around an example, which means you have to show them your narrative. And impact means that your actions were, again, clear. There's a clear cause and effect. You made this impact, and there was an effect on this organization. So going back to that first point, keep the reader learning, ensure that they're getting something new out of you here, and show, whereas before it was about your leadership style, here it's more about the outcomes and why it was meaningful to you, all in 200 words. Finally, what is your short-term post-MBA career goal and why? Well, is your goal ambitious but realistic for you? Are you connecting the dots? Is this something that you can achieve? It's got to be realistic. You can't just say, hey, I want to do something, I want to start the next Tesla and compete with Elon Musk. Not going to happen. They'll think that they might appreciate the fact that you're a dreamer, but that's kind of a fantastical goal to have short-term post-Darden. Short-term. So, your goal here is to think of something that is realistic, but not something you can get to without that MBA. And also ask yourself, is it realistic for Darden? Look at their placement statistics. Ask yourself, if I want to go into VC, what percentage of the class does Darden send to VC? Is this realistic for me where I am? And is this realistic for Darden? And if you have room, possibly add a few Darden specifics at the very end to show that you understand what the school is about. If it can integrate into your argument well. You don't have to do this, but if you have the spare words at the end, it can be done artfully and powerfully. With that, that's the end. If you have questions about your Darden essays and you want to learn if you're a good fit for Darden, or you want to simply assess your profile with a member of our team, please take us up on a free consultation. It is, as I like to say, your first paid half hour with mbaMission, only it's free, which means that we're going to give you the advice we give to any paid client. We want you to benefit from the session. We know that's the best way to engender confidence and trust in you. So take us up on that. Go to our website and look for free consultation. It's hard to miss. Thanks so much for joining us, and please check out our other video essay analysis pieces.